Dalton Moss made a choice that should have killed him. He gave water to a dying Apache woman in hostile territory. By sunrise, 300 warriors had surrounded his ranch. They weren't there to thank him. They were there to judge him. One wrong word, and he'd be dead before the sun climbed higher. But as he stood there, rifle in hand, watching the riders approach, he couldn't help but wonder. Was this the end, or the beginning of something he never imagined? It started 3 days earlier. The wind that morning carried the smell of sage and dust, the kind that settled deep in a man's lungs and reminded him how far he was from anywhere that mattered. Dalton was splitting wood behind his cabin when he saw her stumbling through the mesquite. At first, he thought it was a deer, the way she moved unsteady, weaving between the scrub brush. Then she fell, and he saw the shape was human. Dalton set down the axe and walked toward her, keeping his rifle loose in one hand. You didn't survive alone in Apache territory by assuming the best in people. But when he got close enough to see her clearly, the rifle felt heavy and wrong. She was Apache, no question about that. Deerskin dress, moccasins worn through at the heels, dark hair tangled with burrs and dried blood. But it was her size that stopped him cold. She had to be near 6 feet tall, maybe more, her frame built like someone who'd been working hard since childhood. Even collapsed in the dirt, she looked formidable. Her eyes opened when his shadow fell across her face. Black eyes, sharp despite the exhaustion. She tried to push herself up, failed, tried again. Dalton crouched down slow, rifle across his knees. "You hurt," she said something in Apache. Her voice was rough, barely more than a whisper. Then she switched to broken English. "Water." He looked around. No tracks following her. No sounds of pursuit. Just empty scrubland stretching in every direction, hot and silent under the noon sun. "Can you walk?" She shook her head. Dalton made a decision he'd probably regret. He slung the rifle over his shoulder and reached down. She flinched when he touched her arm, but didn't pull away. He got her upright, supporting most of her weight. She was lighter than she looked, all muscle and bone with nothing extra. They made it back to his cabin in slow stages. She stumbled twice, caught herself once, let him catch her the second time. Her breathing was labored, shallow. By the time they reached his porch, she was barely conscious. Inside, he lowered her onto the only bed in the place. She didn't protest, just lay there staring at the ceiling beams like she was trying to figure out if this was real or fever dream. Dalton brought water in a tin cup. She drank it all without stopping, then held the cup out for more. He refilled it 3 times before she was satisfied. "What happened to you?" he asked. She looked at him for a long moment, calculating something. Then she touched the side of her head where dried blood matted her hair. "Fall. Rock. How long you been walking?" She held up 3 fingers. 3 days in this heat with no water. She was lucky to be alive. Dalton checked the wound on her head. Deep gash, but it had stopped bleeding. It needed cleaning, stitching maybe, but she'd survive. "I'm going to clean this," he said, pointing to the wound. "It's going to hurt." She nodded once. He worked as gently as he could, using whiskey to clean the cut and needle and thread to close it. She didn't make a sound the entire time, just gripped the blanket beneath her until her knuckles went white. When he finished, she closed her eyes. Within seconds, she was asleep. Dalton sat in his chair by the window and watched the sun move across the sky. He'd done plenty of foolish things in his life, but bringing an Apache woman into his home might top the list. The tribes around here weren't friendly to white settlers, hadn't been since the territory opened up for claims. Men got killed for less than sharing a meal with the wrong person. But leaving her to die didn't sit right either. So here he was, committed to whatever came next. Night fell fast. Dalton lit a lamp and made supper, simple beans and cornbread. The woman slept through it all. He ate alone, listening to her breathing, steady now, strong. Around midnight, she woke. He heard her shift on the bed, heard the whisper of her feet on the wooden floor. When he turned, she was standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the darkness. "Hungry?" he asked. She nodded. He heated the leftover beans and gave her a plate. She ate slowly, deliberately, like someone who'd learned not to waste food. When she finished, she set the plate down and looked at him directly. "Why you help?" Dalton considered the question. Seemed like the right thing to do. White men not do right thing for Apache. Maybe not, but I'm not most white men. She studied him, those black eyes taking his measure. "You live here alone?" "Just me. No wife. No children. Not anymore." Something in his tone made her stop asking. She looked around the small cabin, taking in the sparse furnishings, the single window, the rifle propped by the door. You not afraid? Of what? My people find you help me. They kill you. Dalton leaned back in his chair. Maybe. Or maybe they'll appreciate that I didn't let you die. She almost smiled at that. Almost. You fool or brave. Not sure which. Little of both, probably. She stood, testing her balance. The wound on her head had stopped bleeding completely, but she still moved carefully. I should go. Sun's down. Nothing out there but coyotes and rattlesnakes. You can leave in the morning if you want. She hesitated, then nodded. I sleep outside. Bed's yours. I'll take the floor. No, not proper. Dalton didn't argue. He brought out a blanket and spread it on the porch. She took it without thanks and disappeared into the night. He stayed inside, listening to the sounds beyond the walls. Somewhere distant, a coyote called. The wind picked up, rattling the shutters. He tried to sleep but couldn't shake the feeling that he'd set something in motion that he didn't fully understand. Dawn broke cold and clear. Dalton stepped outside and found her already awake, sitting cross-legged on the porch, staring at the eastern horizon. The blanket was folded neatly beside her. Coffee, he offered. She shook her head. I go now. Which way you headed? She pointed north, toward the mountain range that marked the edge of the territory. My people there. 2 days' walk. You strong enough for that? She stood tall and straight, no sign of yesterday's weakness. I am strong. Dalton believed her. Take some food. Water. No need. Take it anyway. She started to refuse, then stopped. Something in his face made her reconsider. Why you care? Don't know, Dalton said honestly. Just do. She accepted the canteen and the cloth-wrapped bundle of dried meat he offered. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to say something. Then she just nodded once and walked away, heading north toward the mountains without looking back. Dalton watched until she was just a speck on the horizon, then a memory, then gone. He went back to his chores, splitting wood, checking fences, tending to the handful of cattle he kept. The day passed like any other. By evening, he'd almost convinced himself the whole thing had been ordinary. Just a traveler in need, nothing more. Then the sun set, and he saw them. Fires on the ridgeline to the north. Small at first, just pinpricks of light. Then more appeared. East Ridge, West Ridge, south toward the trail he used to reach town. Everywhere he looked, fires bloomed in the darkness like stars falling to earth. Dalton stood in his doorway and counted. 30 fires, maybe more. Each one marking a position, a watching post, a warrior keeping vigil. They'd surrounded him completely. He thought about running, saddling his horse, and trying to break through before they closed in. But that was fool's logic. If they wanted him dead, he'd already be dead. This was something else. This was a message. Dalton poured himself a whiskey and sat on his porch, rifle across his lap, watching the fires burn. The night stretched out long and strange, filled with the distant sound of drums, the occasional call of voices in a language he didn't understand. He didn't sleep. Couldn't. Just sat there as the hours crawled past, waiting for whatever came next. When dawn finally broke, the fires were gone. But the warriors remained, visible now in the morning light. They lined every ridge, every high point around his property. Silent, watching, waiting. Dalton stood and walked into his yard. He set the rifle down against the porch rail, making himself unarmed, unthreatening. Then he waited. A single rider appeared on the northern ridge and began descending. Slow, deliberate, taking his time. The horse picked its way down the rocky slope with practiced ease. As he got closer, Dalton could see he was old, maybe 60, with gray streaking his long black hair. He wore traditional dress, leather and beadwork, a bow slung across his back. His face was weathered, carved deep with lines that spoke of hard years and harder choices. The old warrior stopped 30 yards from the cabin. He studied Dalton with eyes that missed nothing. Dalton raised one hand, palm out. Peace. The warrior didn't respond. He just sat there on his horse, waiting. Another rider appeared from the north. This one Dalton recognized immediately. The woman he'd helped, riding tall and confident like yesterday's weakness had never existed. She looked different now, her hair braided with feathers, her dress clean and decorated. She rode up beside the old warrior and spoke to him in rapid Apache. The warrior listened without expression. When she finished, he said something brief in response. She nodded and turned to Dalton. My father want know why you helped me. Father. The word hit Dalton like cold water. The old warrior wasn't just any Apache. He was a chief. She needed help, Dalton said simply. I gave it, the woman translated. Her father responded longer this time. He say white men do not help Apache. White men take land, kill buffalo, break promises. Why you different? Dalton chose his words carefully. I can't speak for other white men. I can only speak for myself. She was hurt. Leaving her to die wouldn't have been right. Translation. Response. Translation. My father say you could have used me. Trade me back to tribe for gold or cattle. You could have hurt me when I was weak. You did none of these things. Why? Because I'm not that kind of man. The woman looked at him for a long moment before translating. Her father's response was brief. He say you are fool. Maybe so. Or you are wise. Not sure about that either. The chief spoke again, his voice carrying authority without needing volume. The woman translated carefully, weighing each word. My father say he watch you all night. See you sit with rifle. See you not run. See you not hide. You wait like warrior wait. This is respect. Dalton didn't know what to say to that. The chief continued, and the woman's translation came in steady rhythm. My father say you save his daughter life. This is debt that cannot be ignored. But you also white man who take Apache land. This is crime that cannot be forgive. You are both savior and enemy. This is problem. I understand, Dalton said. No, the woman said, her own voice now, not translating. You do not understand. My people want you dead. They say you steal water that belonged to us. They say you fence land that should be free. They say you are beginning of end. More white men will come because you are here. They're probably right. She blinked, surprised. You admit this? I bought this land legally according to my people's law. But I know your people were here first. I know what that means. The woman translated this to her father. He sat very still, processing the admission. Then he dismounted and walked forward. Dalton's hand twitched toward the rifle, but he forced himself to stay still. The chief stopped 10 feet away. Up close, Dalton could see the scars on his arms, the marks of a warrior who'd seen countless battles. The old man studied him like he was reading text written in a language only he understood. Then he spoke directly to Dalton in English. You honest. His accent was thick, but the words were clear. This make you dangerous. How do you mean? Most white men lie. Say they want peace, but bring war. Say they want trade, but bring theft. You tell truth. Say you take land, but admit it was not yours to take. This make other white men look bad. Dalton hadn't thought about it that way. The chief continued, switching back to Apache with his daughter translating. My daughter name is Taji, mean beautiful bird. She is my only daughter. I have 3 sons, all warriors, all strong. But Taji's strongest of all. She walk 3 days with no water to prove she ready to lead her own war party. She fall, hit head, nearly die. But she live because you give her water. He paused, his dark eyes boring into Dalton. This mean you save future of my people. Taji will lead when I am gone. Without her, my sons fight each other for power. Tribe split. We become weak when we need be strong. You save more than one woman. You save many lives. The weight of that settled on Dalton's shoulders. He hadn't been trying to save anyone. He'd just done what felt right. Taji spoke now, her English stronger than her father's. My father say you have 3 choices. First choice, you leave this land. Go back to wherever you come from. Never return. He will let you go in peace. Second choice, you stay but you pay tribute. Give cattle, give supplies, give respect to our tribe. We allow you to live, but you live under our rule. Third choice. She paused, and something flickered in her eyes. Uncertainty maybe, or curiosity. Third choice, you become part of tribe. You marry into our people. Take Apache wife. Live as Apache live. Follow our ways. Dalton's breath caught. Marry. My father say you save daughter. Traditions say you now responsible for her life. She become yours if you accept. This bind you to tribe. Make you family, not enemy. And if I refuse all 3? The chief's expression didn't change, but his hand moved slightly toward the knife at his belt. Taji translated the movement. Then you die here. My father give you honor of choice. But you must choose. Dalton looked around at the warriors on the ridges. Hundreds of them, waiting for his answer. He looked at his cabin, the land he'd worked for 2 years, the life he'd built from nothing. Then he looked at Taji. Tall, strong, watching him with those sharp black eyes that missed nothing. How long do I have to decide? Sunrise tomorrow, Taji said. My father give you 1 night to think. Choose with wisdom, white man. Your life depend on it. The chief turned and walked back to his horse. Taji hesitated, then spoke quietly so only Dalton could hear. I do not want white husband, but I will honor my father choice. If you choose third option, I will be good wife. I will teach you our ways. I will make you part of our people. She paused. But if you choose to leave, I will think you are coward. If you choose tribute, I will think you are weak. Only third choice shows strength. You're asking me to give up everything. No, I ask you to gain everything. Your way of life die anyway. More white men come, more soldiers, more war. My people lose. Your people lose. Everyone lose. But if you join us, maybe you survive. Maybe you find new way to live. She mounted her horse and followed her father back up the ridge. The warriors remained in position, watching, waiting for tomorrow's sunrise. Dalton stood alone in his yard as the morning stretched into afternoon. He had one night to decide the rest of his life. The sun climbed high and merciless. Dalton sat on his porch, turning the choice over in his mind like a stone worn smooth by water. Leave. The first option was simple. Pack what he could carry, saddle the horse, ride south toward the settlements. Start over somewhere else. Find new land, build a new cabin, hope the Apache didn't follow. But he knew that was a lie. There was no starting over. The frontier was closing. Every piece of good land was claimed or fought over. And wherever he went, the same violence would follow. Different tribes, different battles, same bloodshed. Stay and pay tribute. The second option meant living on his knees. Giving up his cattle, his supplies, his dignity. Becoming a serf in his own home. Every day a reminder that he existed only because they allowed it. He'd rather die. Which left the third choice. Marriage. Becoming Apache. Learning a new language, new customs, new ways of thinking about land and water and survival. Dalton thought about his wife, Elizabeth. She'd died 4 years ago, fever taking her in 3 days. They'd only been married 2 years. Not long enough. He'd moved west to escape the memory, to find some place where her ghost wouldn't follow. But maybe the problem wasn't the place. Maybe it was him, carrying his grief like a weight he refused to set down. He thought about Tazi, the way she'd stumbled into his life by accident. The way she'd looked at him with those measuring eyes, trying to figure out what kind of man he was. Strong, she'd called him. He didn't feel strong. He felt tired. But strength wasn't about feeling. It was about choosing, even when all the choices were hard. The afternoon faded into evening. Dalton watched the sun paint the ridges gold, then orange, then red. The warriors' fires appeared again as darkness fell, surrounding him in a ring of light. He made a simple dinner, beans and salt pork. Ate without tasting it. Watched the night deepen. Around midnight, he heard movement on the porch. Footsteps, light and careful. His hand went to the rifle, then stopped. "You awake?" Taji's voice, quiet through the door. "Yeah." She pushed the door open and stepped inside. She'd changed clothes, wearing a simpler dress without decoration. Her hair was loose, falling past her shoulders. "I should not be here," she said. "My father not know I come. But I think you have questions." Dalton gestured to the chair by the table. She sat, and he noticed how she moved, economical, nothing wasted. "Why did your father offer marriage?" he asked. "There must be other ways to bind me to the tribe. You saved my life. In our tradition, this create bond that cannot be broken except through blood or marriage. If you marry me, the bond is honor. My father respect you for this. If you do not marry me, the bond is debt. You become slave to our tribe. If you refuse both, the bond is insult. You must die. That's a lot of weight to put on 1 cup of water. Not just water. You clean my wound. You give food. You give shelter. You ask nothing in return. This is not small thing." She leaned forward, her eyes catching the lamp light. "Most white men see Apache woman alone. They think she is prize to take. They hurt her or sell her or keep her. You did none of this. You treat me like human being. This is why my father choose you. I'm not special. I just did what anyone should do. That is exactly what make you special. You think all men would do same. But they would not. You do not understand how rare you are." Dalton didn't know what to say to that. Taji stood and walked to the window, looking out at the fires on the ridges. "I tell you truth. I do not want husband. I am warrior. I lead war parties. I hunt, I fight, I make decisions that affect my people. Taking husband mean I give up some of this power. But my father say tribe need this marriage. Need bridge between our people and yours. You think marriage to me would make any difference? I'm one man who saved Chief's daughter. One man who warriors respect because he faced death without fear. One man who admit he take land that not his to take. Yes, you make difference. She turned back to face him. I ask you question now. You want marry me? The directness of it caught him off guard. I don't know you. You know I am strong. You know I am honest. You know I am chief's daughter. This is more than most Apache women know about husband before marriage. What else you need know? Do you want to marry me? She considered the question seriously. I want do what is right for my people. My father think this marriage is right. I trust his wisdom. So yes, I want marry you if it serve greater purpose. That's not the same as wanting to marry me. No, it is not, but it is honest answer. She sat back down, closer this time. I ask you different question. If you marry me, what you want from wife? I don't know. Respect, I guess. Partnership. Not children. Not someone to cook and clean. Those things are fine. But I'd rather have someone I can talk to. Someone who sees me as equal. Something shifted in her expression. Most white men not say this. They say wife should obey. Should serve. I'm not most white men. No, she said quietly. You are not. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying the sound of distant drums. I tell you what I want, Taji said. I want husband who respect my strength. Who let me lead when I need lead. Who understand that being woman not mean being weak. Can you do this? I can try. Trying not enough. I need know you will do this. Dalton met her eyes. I will respect your strength. I will let you lead. I won't try to make you something you're not. She nodded slowly. Then maybe marriage not so terrible. High praise, Dalton said dryly. She almost smiled. I do not know you yet. Maybe in time, I think marriage is good thing. Maybe in time, I think you're a good man. But now, I only know you make choice that save my life. This is beginning. She stood to leave, then paused at the door. You decide yet? Yeah, Dalton said. I think I have. What you choose. I'll tell your father at sunrise. You are stubborn. Little bit. This time she did smile. Good. Stubborn men survive. Weak men die fast. She disappeared into the night, leaving Dalton alone with his choice. He didn't sleep. Just sat in the darkness, thinking about the life he was about to leave behind and the life he was about to enter. Not because he wanted to. Not because it was easy. Because it was the only choice that made sense. Sunrise came cold and sharp. Dalton stepped outside to find the chief already waiting in his yard, mounted on his horse. Taji stood beside him on foot. Behind them, the ridges were lined with warriors, hundreds of them, watching in silence. The chief spoke in English. You decide. I have. Speak. Dalton took a breath. I choose the third option. I'll marry your daughter and become part of your tribe. The chief's expression didn't change. He dismounted and walked to Dalton, stopping arm's length away. Then he reached out and gripped Dalton's forearm in the traditional warrior's greeting. You choose with wisdom. This good. He turned to Taji and spoke in Apache. She bowed her head, accepting whatever he'd said. Then the chief called out to the warriors on the ridges, his voice carrying across the valley. They responded as one, a thunderous shout that echoed off the canyon walls. The chief looked back at Dalton. You are Apache now. Your cabin belonged to tribe. Your cattle belong to tribe. Your life belonged to tribe. But tribe protect you. Tribe provide for you. Tribe honor you as warrior who marry chief's daughter. This is sacred bond. I understand. No, you do not. But you will learn. The chief mounted his horse and rode back up the ridge. The warriors began to disperse, fires being doused, camps being struck. Within an hour, the valley was empty again except for Tazi, who stood watching Dalton with those sharp eyes. You surprise me, she said. How? I think you choose to leave. Most white men choose to leave. But you choose hard path. This take courage. Or stupidity. Maybe both. She walked to the cabin and looked inside, taking in the sparse interior. This place too small for two people. We need build bigger home. I thought the cabin belonged to the tribe now. It does, which mean we can change it however we want. Tribe will help build. This is tradition when warrior marries. Dalton followed her inside. She was already moving around, pointing at walls, talking about where to add rooms, where to put the cook fire, where to store supplies. You move fast, he observed. No point in moving slow. Work needs be done. She looked at him. You know how to build? Some. Good. You will need it. We have much work ahead. When's the wedding? Tomorrow at sunset. My father performs ceremony. Tribe will gather. You will make vows. Then you are my husband and I am your wife. Simple. Simple. Dalton echoed, though nothing about this felt simple. Taji walked to the door, then turned back. One more thing. When we marry, you take new name. Apache name. Your white name die. You understand. What name will I take? That is for my father to decide. He will choose based on what he see in you. Name is important. It tell tribe who you are. She left him standing in the cabin that was no longer quite his, thinking about the man he'd been and the man he was about to become. The next day passed in a blur. Warriors arrived throughout the morning, bringing poles and hides to construct a large ceremonial structure near Dalton's cabin. Women came with baskets of food, pots for cooking, blankets and furs for gifts. Children ran between the adults, laughing and playing like this was a celebration instead of a binding ritual. Tazi appeared around midday with an older woman she introduced as her mother. The woman looked at Dalton with open skepticism, walked around him like he was a horse she was considering buying, then said something sharp and Apache that made Tazi wince. She say you too skinny. Say you need eat more meat. Tell her I'll try. The woman snorted and walked away, already barking orders at the other women about food preparation. Your mother likes me, Dalton said dryly. She will. Eventually. Maybe. Taji paused. She worry I marry weak man. I tell her you are not weak. She will see. As sunset approached, the tribe gathered. More people than Dalton had expected, easily 300, maybe more. They formed a circle around the ceremonial structure, leaving an opening to the west where the sun was descending in brilliant orange and red. Taji disappeared into a tent with her mother and other women. Dalton stood awkwardly near the chief, who had painted his face with yellow and red ochre for the ceremony. You nervous? The chief asked in English. Yeah, good. Man who not nervous, not take ceremony serious. He looked at Dalton. I give you Apache name now. You are Nashota, mean twin spirit. 1 foot in white world, 1 foot in Apache world. You walk between see both sides. This is your gift and your burden. Nashota, Dalton repeated, testing the sound. That is your name now. Dalton die. Nashota live. The drummers began, a steady heartbeat rhythm that filled the valley. The chief led Dalton to the center of the circle. The tribe fell silent, watching. Taji emerged from the tent, and Dalton's breath caught. She wore a dress of white deerskin decorated with intricate beadwork, turquoise and silver jewelry at her throat and wrists. Her hair was braided with eagle feathers. She stood taller than any woman Dalton had ever seen, and she walked toward him with absolute confidence, like she owned the ground beneath her feet. The chief spoke in Apache, his voice carrying across the assembly. Dalton didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. This was a binding. This was permanent. Taji stood before him. Up close, he could see her eyes reflecting the firelight, could see the small scar on her temple where he'd stitched her wound. The chief produced a leather cord and wrapped it around their joined hands, binding them together. He spoke another long passage in Apache, then switched to English for Dalton's sake. You are now one person. Her breath is your breath. Her blood is your blood. You protect her, she protect you. You hunt for tribe, she lead tribe. You build home, she fill home with life. This is sacred bond. Do you accept? I accept, Dalton said. The chief looked at Tazi. She answered in Apache, clear and strong. She accept. The chief translated unnecessarily. He unwrapped the cord and held it up for the tribe to see. The people erupted in celebration, drums pounding, voices raised in song. Taji looked at Dalton, and for the first time, he saw something softer in her eyes. Now you are Nashota, she said. Now you are Apache. Now you are my husband. Now you're my wife. Yes, this is strange for both of us. But we learned together. The feast lasted into the night. Roasted venison, corn cakes, dried berries, dishes Dalton didn't recognize but ate anyway. The tribe celebrated with dancing, with stories told in rapid Apache that made people laugh or gasp or nod with approval. Tazi stayed close to him, translating when needed, explaining customs when he looked confused. Slowly, the foreignness of it started to feel less overwhelming. Near midnight, the chief approached them. You go to your home now. Tribe will finish here. Tomorrow, work begins. You build new house. You learn our ways. You become true Apache, not just name. Tazi led Dalton away from the celebration. They walked to the cabin in silence, the sounds of the feast fading behind them. Inside, the space felt different. Smaller somehow, or maybe just more occupied. Taji stood by the window, looking out at the darkness. I do not know how to be wife, she said quietly. I only know how to be warrior. I don't know how to be Apache, Dalton replied. We're even. She turned to face him. My father say you are twin spirit, man who walk between two worlds. This is hard path. You will be outsider in both places. White men think you are traitor. Apache think you are intruder. You must be strong or you will break. I'll manage. You say this now. But wait until winter come. Wait until you must live in our way, sleep in our tents, eat our food, speak our language. Wait until you realize everything you know is wrong. Are you trying to scare me or prepare me? Both. Dalton walked to the window beside her. Their reflections overlapped in the glass. I made a choice. I'll live with it. Choice is easy part. Living with choice is hard. She was right, and they both knew it. But standing there in the quiet, with the sounds of celebration distant and the night vast around them, Dalton felt something settle in his chest. Not peace exactly, more like acceptance. He'd stepped off the path he'd been walking and onto something unmarked, untested. There was no going back. There was only forward, into whatever came next. Taji moved away from the window and began unpinning the feathers from her hair. You can have bed. I sleep on floor. We're married. You can have the bed. White custom. Apache husband and wife share sleeping space. But I do not know you yet. Sleeping together feel wrong. Then we both take the floor. She looked at him, surprised. You would do this? Fair's fair. For the first time since he'd met her, Taji smiled. Not the almost smile, not the hint of amusement. A real smile that changed her whole face. You are a strange man, Nashoda. But maybe this is good thing. They made pallets on the floor, separated by space but closer than strangers. Dalton lay awake long after Taji's breathing had evened into sleep, staring at the ceiling, wondering what dawn would bring. In the morning, everything changed. The tribe arrived at first light, dozens of warriors and their families, ready to work. They moved with practiced efficiency, marking out the dimensions of the new home, cutting poles, stripping bark, preparing hides for covering. Taji directed the work like a general commanding troops. She knew exactly what needed to be done and didn't hesitate to correct anyone who wasn't doing it right. Dalton, Nashoda now, tried to help but mostly stayed out of the way. His building experience with wooden planks and nails didn't translate well to traditional Apache construction. You watch, Taji told him. Learn. Tomorrow you help. So he watched. He saw how they lashed poles together with strips of rawhide, how they positioned them to shed water and resist wind, how they left smoke holes for the fire but angled them to prevent rain from entering. By midday, the basic structure was up. By evening, it was nearly complete, a large dwelling that dwarfed his old cabin. It had separate spaces for sleeping, cooking, and storage. It had proper ventilation. It was built to last. Your cabin too small, Taji said, as if this justified the transformation. This is proper home for Chief's daughter. You could have just added a room. Why build small when we can build right? The women brought furnishings, furs, and blankets, cooking pots, tools, and supplies. They arranged everything with careful attention, creating a home from raw materials in a single day. When the work was finished, the chief walked through each section, testing the poles, checking the hide coverings, examining the smoke hole. He nodded once, the closest thing to approval Dalton had seen from him. Good work, he said in English, then added something in Apache that made the workers beam with pride. Taji translated. He say this home will stand through many winters. He say it is worthy of his daughter. That night, they moved into the new dwelling. It smelled of fresh hide and sage smoke. The space felt massive compared to the cramped cabin, but also strangely intimate. Every sound echoed. Taji built a fire in the central pit, and they sat across from each other, eating the food her mother had sent. Some kind of stew with corn and squash. It was good, better than anything Dalton had cooked for himself. Tomorrow you start training, Taji said between bites. Training for what? Everything. Language, hunting, fighting, tracking. If you are Apache, you must know Apache skills. My brothers will teach you. Your brothers, Dalton repeated. He'd seen 3 young men at the ceremony, all watching him with varying degrees of suspicion. They not happy I marry white man. They think you are weak. You must prove them wrong. And if I can't, then they will make your life difficult until you get stronger or leave. This is Apache way. We do not carry weak men. Dalton set down his bowl. I'm not weak. I know this. They do not. You must show them. The next morning came too early. Dalton woke to someone kicking the entrance to their dwelling. A harsh voice called out in Apache. Taji sat up, already alert. My brother Caden. He here to get you. It's barely light out. Warriors train at dawn. Get dressed. Dalton pulled on his clothes and stepped outside to find a young man waiting, arms crossed, expression hostile. He was maybe 25, built like he spent every day doing hard physical labor, his hair cut short on the sides, long on top. Caden looked Dalton up and down, said something in Apache that sounded like an insult, then turned and walked away, clearly expecting Dalton to follow. They walked for half an hour in silence, climbing into the hills north of the dwelling. Other warriors joined them along the way, young men mostly, all giving Dalton the same skeptical looks. They reached a clearing where targets had been set up, hides stretched over frames at various distances. Weapons were laid out, bows, lances, knives. Caden picked up a bow and handed it to Dalton. He said something in Apache, "I'm drawing and shooting." Dalton took the bow. It was different from the rifles he was used to, required different muscles, different technique. He knocked an arrow, drew, aimed at the nearest target, and released. The arrow flew wide, missing completely. Laughter erupted from the gathered warriors. Caden said something that made them laugh harder. Dalton felt his face flush, but kept his expression neutral. "Again," Caden said in English, his accent thick. Dalton tried again. This time the arrow hit the target frame, but nowhere near center. More laughter, more mocking comments in Apache. They made him shoot until his arms shook with exhaustion. Every miss brought fresh mockery. Caden demonstrated perfect form, hitting the center target from twice the distance, then grinned at Dalton like he'd just proven a point. When the bow work was done, they moved to hand-to-hand combat. Caden chose the largest warrior, a man who outweighed Dalton by 50 pounds, and pointed at him. The message was clear. Fight! The warrior circled Dalton, looking for an opening. Dalton had been in his share of fights, but this was different. This was a test he couldn't afford to fail. The warrior lunged. Dalton sidestepped, barely avoiding the grab. The warrior spun faster than his size suggested and caught Dalton's arm, twisting it behind his back. Pain shot through Dalton's shoulder. He tried to break free, couldn't, so he did the only thing he could think of. He drove his heel down hard on the warrior's instep. The grip loosened. Dalton broke away, but the warrior was already coming again. This time Dalton met him head-on, using his lower center of gravity to get under the bigger man's reach. He drove his shoulder into the warrior's stomach, lifting and twisting, trying to throw him off balance. They went down together in a tangle of limbs. The warrior had strength, but Dalton had desperation. They grappled in the dust, neither gaining clear advantage, until finally Caden called out something, and the warrior backed off. Dalton stood, breathing hard, covered in dirt and sweat. The watching warriors weren't laughing now. They were watching him with something that might have been grudging respect. Caden approached and said something in Apache. Then in English, "You fight like cornered animal. Not elegant, but effective. This is good." He handed Dalton a water skin. Dalton drank deeply, tasting blood where he'd bitten his cheek during the fight. "Tomorrow we run," Caden said. "You keep up or you walk home alone. Understand?" "I understand." "Good." Caden almost smiled. "Maybe you're not completely useless." They trained every morning for a week, running until Dalton's lungs burned, shooting until his fingers bled, fighting until every muscle screamed. Caden pushed him hard, never satisfied, always demanding more. But slowly Dalton improved. His arrows started hitting targets. His stamina increased. He learned to anticipate attacks, to use leverage instead of pure strength. The other warriors stopped mocking and started teaching. They showed him how to track game, how to move quietly through brush, how to read signs in the landscape. The lessons came in broken English and lots of gestures, but Dalton learned. In the evenings, he returned to the dwelling exhausted. Taji would have food waiting, and they'd sit by the fire while she taught him Apache words. Simple things at first. Water, fire, food, sky. "You learn fast," she observed one night. "Most white men refuse to speak Apache. They think their language is better. All language is just sounds we agree have meaning," Dalton said. "Doesn't matter what sounds we use. My mother asked me today if you're a good husband. What did you tell her?" "I tell her I do not know yet. You are clean. You work hard. You respect me. But husband should be more than this. What more do you want?" Taji considered the question. "I want husband who see me. Not what I should be, not what he want me to be. Me as I am." "I see you," Dalton said. "Strong, smart, proud. A warrior who happens to be a woman instead of a woman who happens to be a warrior." That's what I see. Something shifted in her expression. No one ever say this to me before. Then people aren't looking right. She was quiet for a moment. Maybe marriage is not so terrible after all. High praise, Dalton said, echoing her words from their first night. This time when she smiled, it reached her eyes. The seasons changed. Summer heat gave way to autumn cool. Dalton's body adapted to the constant physical demands. His hands grew calloused from bow work. His skin darkened from long days in the sun. His Apache improved enough to follow simple conversations. He learned tribal politics by observation. Tazi's father, whose name he learned was Nach, was respected but not feared. He led through wisdom rather than force. The tribe followed him because his decisions were sound, not because they had to. Taji herself held significant influence. Warriors sought her counsel before raids. Women came to her with disputes that needed settling. She moved through the tribe with easy authority, and people made space for her, not out of fear but respect. Dalton found himself falling into routines. Morning training with Caden and the other warriors. Afternoon hunts or work parties, repairing weapons, gathering supplies. Evenings with Taji, learning, talking, slowly building something that resembled partnership. But the peace couldn't last. One morning, Dalton woke to find the dwelling empty. Taji's weapons were gone, her horse was gone. Outside, the camp was stirring with unusual activity. Warriors were gathering, faces painted for war. Dalton found Caden checking his bow. What's happening? White soldiers coming. 2 days south. They burn Apache camp, kill women and children. We go to stop them. Dalton's stomach dropped. How many soldiers? Maybe 40. Maybe more. Caden tested his bowstring. You stay here. This not your fight. Like hell it isn't. I'm Apache now, remember? Caden looked at him skeptically. You shoot bow good now, but war is different. You kill white soldier, you can never go back to white world. You understand? I understand. Your choice. Caden shrugged. Get your weapons. We leave soon. Dalton armed himself with bow, knife, and the rifle he'd kept from his old life. He found his horse and saddled it quickly. When he emerged, Taji was waiting, already mounted, her face set in hard lines. You do not have to come, she said. Yes, I do. If you kill white soldier, they call you traitor. They will hang you if they catch you. Then I won't get caught. She studied him for a long moment. You are sure? I'm sure. Something in her expression softened. Then we ride together. The war party moved south swiftly, maybe 70 warriors total. They traveled light, pushing hard through terrain that would slow cavalry. By nightfall, they'd covered 40 miles. They made cold camp in a canyon, no fires, speaking in whispers. Scouts reported the soldiers were camped 15 miles ahead, unaware they were being followed. Nach gathered the senior warriors, Taji among them. Dalton hung back until she gestured for him to join. The chief raised an eyebrow but didn't object. They spoke in Apache, debating strategy. Dalton caught enough words to understand the basics. The soldiers were traveling with wagons, moving slowly. They'd attacked an Apache camp because someone had reported warriors in the area. 3 women and 2 children were killed. Several more were wounded. The debate centered on how to respond. Some warriors wanted immediate attack, kill all the soldiers, take their weapons and horses. Others argued for caution. 40 soldiers with rifles were dangerous even in Apache territory. Taji spoke, her voice cutting through the arguments. Everyone fell silent to listen. When she finished, several warriors nodded in agreement. What did she say? Dalton asked Caden quietly. She say we do not kill all soldiers. We kill leaders, take weapons, scatter rest. Send message that Apache land is not safe for those who murder women and children. But we leave survivors to tell story. This way other soldiers know what happened when they attacked defenseless camps. It was brutal logic, but effective. The council agreed. They attacked at dawn. The warriors split into 3 groups, surrounding the camp on 3 sides, leaving one route open for retreat. Dalton rode with Caden's group, positioned on the eastern flank. As the sun broke the horizon, the Apache charged. The soldiers barely had time to grab their rifles. Arrows filled the air, striking down men before they could form a defensive line. Dalton saw a young soldier, barely out of boyhood, scrambling for his weapon. The man's eyes locked on Dalton's, wide with terror. Time seemed to slow. Dalton raised his rifle, finger on the trigger. This was it, the line he couldn't uncross. If he shot, he was a traitor to his own kind. If he didn't, he was betraying his new family. The soldier lifted his rifle, aiming shakily at Dalton. No choice left. Dalton squeezed the trigger. The rifle bucked in his hands, the crack echoing across the camp. The smell of gunpowder filled his nostrils, sharp and acrid. The soldier jerked back, a red bloom appearing on his chest. He fell, his rifle clattering to the ground, his eyes still open, staring at nothing. Dalton felt bile rise in his throat. He'd killed before animals, but this was different. This was a man, someone with a name, a family, dreams. The weight hit him like a physical blow, settling in his chest, making it hard to breathe. But there was no time to think. Chaos exploded around him. Warriors shouted, soldiers screamed, horses whinnied in panic. Dalton forced himself to move, reloading mechanically, firing at another soldier who was mounting a horse to flee. The battle was brief and vicious. The soldiers who tried to fight were cut down. Those who ran for the open western route were allowed to flee. Within minutes, it was over. Nate called for his warriors to halt pursuit. They'd made their point. Taji rode through the aftermath, checking the fallen soldiers. She found the officer in charge, a captain with gray in his beard and hate in his eyes. Even wounded, he spat at her. "Savage," he hissed. "You're all savages." Taji knelt beside him. "You come to our land. You burn our homes. You kill our women, our children. Who is savage here?" The captain tried to respond, but blood bubbled from his mouth. He was dying, and he knew it. Taji stood and walked away. She found Dalton standing near his horse, staring at the body of the man he'd shot. The young soldier's face was frozen in surprise, a letter peeking from his pocket, probably from home. "First kill?" she asked. "Yeah, it get easier. This is not comfort, but it is truth. You will remember his face, but you will learn to live with it. How many have you killed?" "Enough that I stopped counting. Each one necessary. Each one choice between my people's survival or their death. This not make it good. Just make it necessary." Dalton nodded, but the words didn't help the knot in his gut. He reached down and pulled the letter from the soldier's pocket. It was addressed to Sarah, full of promises to come home, to build a life together. Now those promises were dust. Taji placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not read it. It will only make the weight heavier." Too late. Dalton folded the letter and tucked it away. A reminder of what he'd become. They gathered the soldiers' weapons and horses, left the bodies where they fell. The surviving soldiers had scattered into the desert. Some would make it back to their fort. Some wouldn't. The message would be delivered either way. The war party returned to camp in somber silence. There was no celebration, no boasting. Just warriors who'd done what needed to be done and now had to live with it. That night, Dalton sat outside the dwelling, unable to sleep. The dead soldier's face kept appearing in his mind. Young, terrified, gone in an instant. Taji emerged from the dwelling and sat beside him. She didn't speak, just sat there sharing the silence. Finally, Dalton said, "I crossed a line today. Can't uncross it." "No," Taji agreed. "But line was always illusion. You think you were neutral before. You were not. Living on Apache land, using Apache water, eating Apache food. You were already choosing side. Today you just make choice visible. The soldiers will come back. More of them. Yes, they always come back. More soldiers, more settlers, more people who think this land belonged to them because papers say so." She looked at the stars. "My people losing. We fight hard, we fight smart, but we are losing. Too many white people. Too few Apache. In the end, we will lose everything. Then why fight? Because surrender mean death faster. Fight mean we survive little longer. Maybe long enough for world to change. Maybe long enough for people like you to build bridge between our worlds. I'm one man. You are Nashota, twin spirit. You walk between worlds. This make you valuable. This give hope." Dalton looked at her. In the moonlight, her profile was sharp and strong. "You really believe that? I believe you gave me water when I was dying. I believe you joined my people when you could have left. I believe you fought today even though it cost you your old life. Yes, I believe in you." She stood and offered her hand. "Come inside. Tomorrow bring new problems. Tonight we rest." Dalton took her hand and let her pull him to his feet. Her grip was strong, calloused from years of bow work and hard living. But it was also steady, certain. They went inside together. This time when they made their sleeping pallets, they placed them closer. Not touching, but near enough to hear each other breathing. It was a small thing, but it felt like progress. As the months passed, Dalton and Taji's relationship deepened through shared moments that built trust and intimacy. One evening, during a rare quiet hunt, they tracked a deer through the brush. Taji moved like a shadow, her tall frame gliding silently. Dalton followed, trying to match her stealth. The deer bolted suddenly. Taji loosed an arrow, but it grazed the animal. Dalton fired his rifle, dropping it clean. They approached the kill together, and Taji looked at him with surprise. "You shoot well with white man's weapon." "It's what I know." She nodded. "And now you know Apache bow too. Twin spirit." They laughed together for the first time, the sound echoing in the quiet woods. It was a release, a moment of joy amid the tension. Later, around the fire, Taji shared a vulnerability. "I fear leading the tribe one day. My brothers are strong fighters, but I am the one father trusts with wisdom. What if I fail?" Dalton listened, then said, "You've led raids. You've survived alone. If anyone can lead, it's you. And I'll be there if you'll let me." She looked at him, her eyes softening. "I will let you." It was the first time she called him Nishoda with fondness, not formality. Winter came hard and fast. Snow blanketed the high country, driving the tribe to lower elevations. They moved camp 3 times, always staying ahead of the worst weather, always watching for soldiers. Dalton's Apache was nearly fluent now. He could follow complex conversations, participate in councils, tell stories around the fire. The tribe had stopped seeing him as an outsider. He was just Nishoda, Taji's husband, a warrior who'd proven himself in battle. Caden had become something like a friend. They hunted together, trained together, occasionally got drunk together on tiswin that the women brewed from corn. During one such night, Caden told Dalton about the brother he'd lost to soldiers 2 winters ago. "He was brave," Caden said, his words slightly slurred. "Stupidly brave. He charged soldier position alone, try to save wounded warrior. They shoot him 17 times. When we get his body back, we cannot recognize his face. I'm sorry. This is why I hate white men. Why I think you are enemy when Taji marry you. But you not like other white men. You fight with us, not against us. You choose our way over your way. This means something. Does it change anything? Me being here." Caden was quiet for a long time. Maybe. Maybe it shows that some white men can learn. Can change. This is small hope, but it is something. The conversation stuck with Dalton. He'd thought joining the tribe was about survival, about making the best of impossible choices. But maybe it was bigger than that. Maybe it was about proving that different peoples could coexist if they tried hard enough. It was probably naive. The frontier was closing, the wars escalating. But he held on to it anyway. Hope was better than nothing. In the deep winter, when the tribe was mostly confined to camp by weather, Dalton noticed Taji was different. She moved slower, ate less, spent more time in the dwelling. One night, he asked if she was feeling well. She looked at him for a long moment, then said, "I am pregnant." The words hit him like cold water. "You're certain?" "I have missed 2 moons. My mother confirmed." "Yes, I am certain." Dalton sat down heavily. They'd been sleeping in the same space for months now, and somewhere along the way, the careful distance had closed. It had been gradual, natural, 2 people learning to be comfortable with each other. "How do you feel about it?" he asked. "I do not know. Part of me is happy. Child mean future, mean life continue. But part of me is afraid. If I have baby, I cannot fight, cannot lead war parties. My influence in tribe will change. Your father is still chief. That won't change." "No, but I am his successor. People follow me because I am strong warrior. If I become just mother, they may stop listening. You won't be just a mother. You'll be a mother who's also a warrior. Women do both all the time. Not Apache women. Not chief's daughters who must lead tribe." Dalton moved closer, took her hand. "Then you'll be the first. You're already breaking every other rule. Why stop now?" She smiled slightly. "You always know right thing to say." "I really don't. I'm making this up as I go. We both are." She placed his hand on her still flat stomach. "This child will be born between worlds. Half white, half Apache. Neither one, both one. Like you, twin spirit. That's going to be complicated. Everything is complicated. This child will learn to live with it, same as you learn, same as I learn. We will teach them to be strong." Dalton felt something shift in his chest. Not fear exactly, but awe. He was going to be a father. In a world that was violent and uncertain, in a tribe that was fighting for survival, he was bringing new life. It should have terrified him. Instead, it felt right. "We'll need to expand the dwelling," he said. Taji laughed. "Always thinking practical. This is why I like you. You like me? Do not push your luck, Nishoda. I tolerate you. Liking come later. But she was still holding his hand, and she was still smiling, and Dalton thought maybe the liking had already arrived. Spring brought renewed conflict. More settlers were moving into Apache territory, claiming land, digging wells, building fences. More soldiers were patrolling, responding to raids that were often retaliatory. The cycle of violence was accelerating. Nate called council to discuss the tribe's future. Dalton was invited to attend, no longer an outsider, but a full member. The debate was fierce. Some warriors wanted to fight harder, drive out every white settler through fear and force. Others argued for negotiation, for finding some way to coexist before the tribe was destroyed completely. Taji spoke for negotiation, and Dalton was surprised by how many warriors supported her. She laid out the mathematics clearly. The Apache numbered in the thousands. The white settlers numbered in the millions. Even winning every battle, they would eventually lose the war. "We must find new way," she said. "Way that let us keep some of our land, some of our customs, some of our identity. If we fight until extinction, we lose everything." An older warrior stood, his face scarred from decades of combat. "You talk like coward. We are Apache. We do not surrender." "I do not talk about surrender," Taji replied, her voice sharp. "I talk about survival. There is difference. Surrendering mean giving up everything. Surviving mean keeping what we can, changing what we must, adapting so our children have future." The debate raged for hours. In the end, Nate made the decision. They would send emissaries to the nearest fort, request formal negotiations. Not surrender, but dialogue. It was a risk. The soldiers might use it as trap, but doing nothing was also a risk, one that guaranteed eventual destruction. Nate looked at Dalton. "You will go with emissaries. You speak both languages, understand both worlds. You will help translate not just words, but meaning. I'll do my best. That is all any of us can do." The delegation left the next morning. 3 Apache warriors, Dalton and Tazi, who insisted on going despite her pregnancy. They carried white flags and rode slowly, making themselves visible. The fort was a day's ride south. They approached carefully, hands visible, weapons tied to their saddles, making it clear they came in peace. The soldiers were suspicious, rifles pointed at them from the walls. An officer emerged, a major with graying hair and sharp eyes. "State your business," he called out. Dalton answered in English. "We represent Chief Nate. We come to discuss peace. Apache peace usually involves arrows in the back. Not today. We want to talk. That's all." The major studied them for a long moment. "You're white." "I'm Apache," Dalton corrected. "My name is Nashota. I speak for the tribe." "You're a traitor." "I'm a realist. The fighting benefits no one. People die on both sides. Families suffer. Land gets destroyed. We want to find another way." The major didn't look convinced, but he lowered his rifle slightly. "Come inside. But any funny business, you'll all be shot." They were led into the fort, surrounded by hostile soldiers. Dalton felt their eyes on him, saw the disgust and anger. To them, he was worse than an Apache. He was a betrayer of his own kind. The negotiations took hours. The major listened to their proposals, countered with his own demands. He wanted the Apache to move to designated reservations, to stop raiding, to accept government authority. Taji, speaking through Dalton's translation, explained why that was unacceptable. The reservations were on bad land, unable to support the tribe. The government had broken every treaty it had ever made with native peoples. Why should the Apache trust them now? Back and forth they went, trying to find middle ground that probably didn't exist. Finally, the major said, "I'll take your proposals to my superiors. But I'll be honest with you. I don't think they'll accept. The policy is to remove all Apache from this territory. One way or another, you're leaving. Then there will be more war," Taji said quietly. "More death. Is this what you want?" "It's not about what I want. It's about what is. The world's changing. The Apache can change with it or be left behind." They rode back to camp in silence. The negotiations had failed, not dramatically, but absolutely. There was no compromise to be found. The government wanted the land. The Apache wouldn't surrender it. Something had to give. That night, Taji sat by the fire in their dwelling, staring at the flames. "We are losing our world," she said. "Everything we know, everything we are, it is ending." Dalton sat beside her. "Not ending. Changing. Same thing." "No. Ending means death. Changing means adaptation. Your people are strong. You'll find a way. I wish I had your confidence. You don't need mine." You have your own. He touched her swollen belly. This baby is proof. Life continues even when the world falls apart. She covered his hand with hers. Do you ever regret it? Choosing this life over your old one. Every day, Dalton admitted. But I'd make the same choice again. Why? Because this matters. What we're building here matters. Maybe it'll fail. Probably it'll fail. But at least we're trying. Taji leaned against him, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. Sometimes trying is not enough. Sometimes it's all we have. They sat together as the fire burned low, two people from different worlds who'd somehow found each other in the chaos. Outside, the tribe settled in for the night, unaware that the world they knew was already disappearing. But inside their dwelling, there was warmth. There was partnership. There was the promise of new life. It wasn't much, but it was something. And in a world that offered mostly nothing, something was worth fighting for. Summer arrived with news that changed everything. A large Apache band had been massacred at Red Creek, 40 miles north. Men, women, children, all killed by a volunteer militia who claimed they were retaliating for stolen cattle. The tribe gathered for council. The younger warriors demanded immediate revenge. The elders urged caution. Taji, now visibly pregnant, argued for strategic response rather than emotional reaction. If we attack settlers now, army will come in force, she said. They want excuse to wipe us out completely. We do not give them that excuse. So we do nothing? Caden's voice was sharp with anger. Let them kill our people without consequence. I did not say we do nothing. I said we be smart about what we do. Nate raised his hand for silence. My daughter is right. Emotion is enemy of wisdom. We strike, but we strike carefully. We choose targets that hurt settlers without giving army excuse for full war. The council agreed reluctantly. They would raid supply wagons, not settlements. Destroy property, not people. Make life difficult for whites without providing justification for massacre. It was a delicate balance, and everyone knew it couldn't last. Tazi's baby came in late summer, during a thunderstorm that shook the mountains. Dalton waited outside the dwelling with Nate, while the women attended the birth. The chief seemed uncharacteristically nervous. First grandchild, he explained. My sons have no children yet. This baby carry my line. What if it's a girl? Then she carry line even stronger. Women bring life. Men bring death. Both necessary, but life is more important. The storm passed. Silence fell. Then a baby's cry pierced the night. Taji's mother emerged, smiling for the first time since Dalton had met her. Daughter. Healthy, strong, loud like her mother. Dalton entered the dwelling to find Taji exhausted, but radiating happiness. She held a tiny bundle wrapped in soft deerskin. The baby had dark hair and skin that suggested she'd take after her mother more than her father. We name her Maya, Taji said. Mean daughter of spring. New beginning. Dalton knelt beside them, looking at this tiny person they'd created. Maya opened her eyes, and they were gray like his. Twin spirit indeed, mixed heritage written in her features. She's perfect, he said. She is ours. Taji corrected. Perfect is different thing. But she is ours, and we will protect her. Nate entered and took his granddaughter with the careful reverence of a warrior holding something more precious than any weapon. He spoke softly in Apache, a blessing or a promise, then looked at Dalton. You are father now. This change everything. Your heart now outside your body, walking in world. You must be strong for her. I will be. Good. Because world is not kind to children born between worlds. She will face hate from both sides. You must teach her to stand strong. It was a sobering reminder of the reality they faced. Maya would never be fully accepted by either Apache or white society. She would always be an outsider, always have to prove herself twice as hard. But as Dalton held his daughter for the first time, feeling her tiny fingers wrap around his thumb, he made a silent promise. He would give her the tools to survive in a hostile world. He would teach her strength, wisdom, and the courage to be herself regardless of what others thought. Maya fell asleep in his arms, trusting and vulnerable and completely unaware of the complicated world she'd been born into. For now, that innocence was enough. The autumn brought the soldiers Nate had predicted. Not a small patrol, but a full company, over 100 men with supplies for extended campaign. They were here to remove the Apache permanently. The tribe scattered into the mountains, breaking into smaller groups to avoid detection. Dalton went with Taji and her immediate family, moving higher into terrain that was familiar to them, deadly to outsiders. They lived like ghosts, never staying in one place more than a night, always moving, always watching. Maya learned to stay quiet during the dangerous hours, as if she understood the stakes even at 3 months old. One afternoon, scouts reported a small patrol separated from the main force. 10 soldiers, overconfident, deep in Apache territory. Nate made the decision. They would ambush them. Quick, clean, leave no survivors to report back. Dalton felt the familiar cold settle in his stomach. More killing. More blood. But he didn't argue. This was survival now, pure and simple. They hit the patrol at dusk, arrows from 3 sides, rifles from the 4th. It was over in seconds. The soldiers never had a chance. One of them was young, maybe 19, with a letter in his pocket addressed to someone named Sarah. Dalton read it while they were stripping the bodies of weapons and supplies. It was full of homesickness and fear, hopes of coming home soon, promises to propose when he got back. Now he was just meat cooling in the mountain air. That night, Dalton couldn't sleep. He sat apart from the camp, staring at nothing. Taji found him eventually. She sat without speaking, just present. "How do you do it?" Dalton finally asked. "Kill and keep on living like it's normal? I do not think it is normal. I just think it is necessary. These soldiers come to destroy us. If we do not kill them, they kill us. This not make it good. Just make it reality. I'm tired of reality. We all are. But tired or not, we must keep going. For Maya. For all children. We keep going because stopping means dying." She took his hand. "You are a good man, Nashoda. Good men struggle with violence. This is how I know you are still good. Day you kill without regret is day you become something else. What if that day is already here? It is not. I see your face after every fight. You still carry weight. You still remember faces. You are tired, yes. But you are not broken." They sat together in the darkness. Above them, stars wheeled in their eternal dance, uncaring of human suffering below. Eventually, they returned to camp. Maya was sleeping peacefully, unaware that her father had blood on his hands. Taji settled beside her, and Dalton lay nearby, forming a protective circle around their child. This was what mattered. Not the soldiers, not the politics, not the endless war. Just this, protecting the innocent for one more day. It wasn't much of a purpose, but it was enough to keep him going. Winter hit hard. The tribe suffered. Food was scarce, shelter was inadequate, children got sick. 2 of Nature's warriors died from infected wounds. An elder froze to death one night when she wandered away from camp in confusion. The soldiers kept pressing, never letting them rest, never giving them time to recover. It was a war of attrition, and the Apache were losing. One night, Nate called Dalton to his fire. The chief looked older than before, worn down by the impossible weight of leading a dying people. "I make decision," he said without preamble. "We surrender." Dalton felt his stomach drop. "Sir, no argument. I see reality. We cannot win. If we keep fighting, we all die. Women, children, everyone. If we surrender, maybe some survive. Maybe enough survive to preserve something of who we are. They'll put you on a reservation. Bad land, no resources, complete control. I know, but reservation with living people is better than mountains with only corpses." Nate looked at him directly. "You take Taji and Maya away. Go somewhere safe. You are white. You can pass. Find new life where no one know your history. Taji won't leave her people. I know. That why I order her. As chief, as father, I order her to go. She won't obey." Nate smiled sadly. "No, she will not. My daughter has never been good at obeying. But I must try." He called Taji over. She came carrying Maya, who was bundled against the cold. Nate explained his plan in Apache. Taji's face went through several emotions: surprise, anger, determination, sadness. When he finished, she spoke briefly. One word: "No. I am your father. I am your chief. You will obey. I am Apache. I stay with my people. This is not negotiable." Father and daughter stared at each other across the fire. Neither backing down, both unmovable. Finally, Nate sighed. "You are stubborn like your mother. This is curse I brought on myself for choosing strong woman. You would not want weak daughter." "No, I would not." He looked at Maya, sleeping peacefully. "But she should have better life than this. Running, hiding, slowly starving. This is not life for child. Then we make better life. But we make it together. Family does not abandon family." Nate nodded slowly, accepting defeat. "Then we all go to reservation together. And we survive however we must." The surrender happened 3 days later. They came down from the mountains under white flags, a ragged column of Apache warriors, women, and children. 147 people, all that remained of Nature's once powerful band. The soldiers met them at the valley entrance, rifles ready, suspicious of treachery. The commanding officer, a colonel with cold eyes and a tobacco-stained beard, rode forward to accept Nature's weapon. Dalton watched his father-in-law hand over the rifle that had been in his family for 3 generations. The chief's face showed nothing, but his hands trembled slightly as he released it. "You're all to be relocated to San Carlos Reservation," the colonel announced. "Anyone who resists will be shot. Anyone who tries to escape will be hunted down and killed. You're wards of the United States government now. You'll do as you're told." Nate translated for those who didn't understand English. A ripple of despair passed through the group. San Carlos was known as one of the worst reservations, arid land that couldn't support crops, corrupt agents who stole supplies meant for the tribes. It was a death sentence delivered slowly. The soldiers herded them south like cattle. 3 days of walking, children crying from exhaustion, elderly struggling to keep pace. The soldiers showed no mercy. Those who fell behind were prodded with rifle, but until they got moving again. Dalton carried Maya most of the way, trying to shield her from the worst of it. Taji walked beside him, her face carved from stone, showing no emotion even as her people suffered around her. On the second night, Caden approached Dalton. "We could run. Take Taji and Maya, disappear into the desert. Start over somewhere they won't find us. They'd hunt us. You know they would. Maybe. But better to die free than live as prisoner. Tell that to Maya when she's starving in some cave, because we can't risk going into town for supplies." Caden's jaw tightened. "You sound like white man now. Accepting defeat, making excuses. I sound like a father who wants his daughter to live past 5 years old. There's a difference between accepting defeat and choosing survival. To me, they are same thing." Caden walked away before Dalton could respond. The conversation left a bitter taste. Maybe Caden was right. Maybe surrender was just defeat dressed up in pretty words. But when Dalton looked at Maya's sleeping face, he couldn't bring himself to regret the choice. San Carlos was worse than expected. The land was scorched earth, barely suitable for scorpions, let alone farming. The agency buildings were run down, the supplies inadequate, the water brackish and foul-tasting. They were assigned to a section with 6 other Apache bands. Over 800 people crowded into an area meant for half that many. Disease spread quickly. Within 2 weeks, 3 children died from dysentery. An old woman Dalton had known simply gave up, stopped eating, stopped drinking, and died in her sleep rather than face another day of this existence. Nate tried to maintain order and dignity, but his authority was undermined at every turn. The Indian agent, a weaselly man named Harkins, treated the chiefs like children, issuing arbitrary rules and punishing anyone who questioned him. Rations were supposed to come weekly. They came sporadically, always short, usually spoiled. The beef was often rotten, the flour weevil-infested. When Nate complained, Harkins shrugged. "You should have thought about food before you decided to make war on the United States. This is generosity, not a right." Dalton felt rage building every day. He'd seen poverty before, had lived rough himself, but this was intentional cruelty disguised as policy. The government was killing these people slowly, starving them into submission or death. Taji took it hardest. She'd been a warrior, a leader, someone who controlled her own destiny. Now she was reduced to standing in line for rotten meat, living in a canvas tent that leaked when it rained, watching her people slowly waste away. One night she confided in Dalton, "I should have kept fighting. Died with honor instead of living with shame. There's no honor in getting yourself killed and leaving Maya without a mother. Maybe, but there is also no honor in this." She gestured at the camp around them, the squalor and suffering. "We are not people anymore. We are exhibits. Proof that white men won. You're still people. Still Apache. They can't take that away. Can they not? Look at us. We dress in their clothes because our traditional dress is not allowed. We eat their food because we cannot hunt. We speak their language because our children must attend their school. Each day, we become less Apache and more like poor copies of white men. This is how they kill us. Not with bullets, but with time." Dalton couldn't argue. She was right. The reservation system wasn't designed to help native peoples. It was designed to erase them. But giving up meant dying. So they kept going. Dalton found work as a translator, earning small amounts helping other Apache navigate the confusing bureaucracy. The pay was pitiful, but it was something. He used it to buy extra food when supplies ran short, medicine when Maya caught a fever, small comforts that made life slightly less miserable. Taji refused to be idle. She organized the women, pooled resources, created systems for sharing and support. She taught the younger generation traditional skills in secret, passing on knowledge that the agency tried to suppress. Slowly, painfully, they found ways to survive that preserved some dignity. Then one morning, disaster struck. Soldiers arrived at the camp, led by Harkins. They were taking children for civilizing at a distant boarding school. But not just any children. They targeted those with mixed heritage, claiming they needed special education to assimilate. Maya, with her gray eyes and lighter skin, was on the list. Taji stood in front of their tent, holding Maya close. "You will not take my daughter." Harkins sneered. "She's half white. She belongs in a proper school, not this savage camp. The government says so." Dalton stepped forward. "She's Apache. She's our child. You have no right." The soldiers raised their rifles. Nate tried to intervene, but Harkins waved him off. "This is policy. Resist and we'll shoot." In the chaos, a soldier grabbed Maya from Taji's arms. Taji fought back, knocking one down, but they overpowered her, clubbing her with a rifle butt. She fell, blood streaming from her head. Dalton lunged, but a soldier struck him too. The world went black. When he woke, Maya was gone. Taken to a school 3 days' ride away, where they'd cut her hair, beat her for speaking Apache, tried to erase everything she was. Taji was beside him, her head bandaged, eyes burning with rage. "They took our daughter. We get her back." Nate gathered a small group. "We cannot attack the fort. Too many soldiers. But we can infiltrate. Nashota, you can pass as white. You go in, find Maya, we create distraction outside." It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. They rode hard, reaching the school at night. It was a grim building, more prison than school. Dalton dressed in his old white clothes, hidden for years. He approached the gate, spinning a story about being a government inspector. The guard, suspicious but lazy, let him in. Inside, children huddled in cold rooms, their eyes dull with defeat. Dalton found Maya in a dormitory, her hair shorn, bruises on her arms. She saw him and whispered, "Papa? We have to be quiet. We're going home." Outside, Caden and the others started a fire in the stables, drawing the guards. Chaos erupted. Dalton carried Maya through the shadows, heart pounding. A guard spotted them. "Stop!" Dalton ran, Maya clinging to him. The guard fired, the bullet grazing his arm. Pain exploded, but he kept moving. They reached the fence. Taji was there, cutting through the wire. "Hurry!" They escaped into the night, riders pursuing. The Apache warriors ambushed the pursuers, arrows silent and deadly. They rode back, Maya safe but traumatized. "They said I was bad for being Apache," she whispered. "You're not bad," Taji said. "You're strong. Like us." The rescue sparked retaliation. Soldiers raided the reservation, arresting Nate and others. Taji rallied the people. "We fight back. Not with weapons, but with unity. We demand justice." Dalton used his translator role to send letters to newspapers, exposing the kidnappings. Rumors spread, pressure built. In a tense standoff, the government backed down slightly, releasing Nate, promising no more forced takings. It was a small victory, but in the darkness, it was light. Years passed. Maya grew into a bright child who navigated both worlds with skill. She attended school but learned Apache ways at night. Nate's health declined. Before dying, he named Taji his successor in spirit. Taji led with quiet strength, negotiating better conditions, preserving culture. Dalton stood by her, the twin spirit bridging worlds. One day, as they watched Maya play, Taji said, "We survived. And we'll keep surviving." Dalton nodded. Together. The fight wasn't over. Soldiers still loomed, the world still pressed in. But they had each other, and that was enough to face whatever came next. If you enjoyed this story of courage, survival, and unbreakable bonds, hit that like button and subscribe to Wild West Stories for more tales from the frontier. Leave a comment with your thoughts on Dalton's choices and where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive.